Okay, Anthony, you brought up a good point with the budget, and I feel like budget is a key pillar of financial education. So what are some other key pillars of financial education that we should kind of know about?
So I would frame it almost as budgeting being like the foundation of it all, because I think without that, you really can't successfully go through any of the other pillars. But after the budget is set, or that you have at least that drawn up and you're at a place where you're comfortable with analyzing it, revising it, etc., the next would be savings. And I think savings is kind of the easy one to segue to, because it's kind of the one concept that as children we understand, even though we might not associate with finances, but like saving or collecting, like I think of Pokemon cards and marbles or whatever I saved as a kid.
Or like your piggy bank.
Exactly, right? Yep. So we have the concept of it. We understand what it means literally, but when we apply it to finances, I think the importance of it kind of ties into everything else that we're doing. So you want to segue off into financial planning and retirement. So that's savings, investing, etc. Paying off debt. You're likely going to be saving to do that as well. So that is where I would start with a member as far as like benchmarks or kind of how that conversation would go. Again, we're going to tie in like their goals, their values, but as a baseline, generally, you're going to be aiming at either like $1,000 emergency fund, or I like to say like your highest deductible. So if it's a medical deductible, generally I know it's going to be larger than $1,000 almost always. But even on a smaller scale, if you don't have that, be like your auto insurance. So generally $500 to $1,000 is most common in the United States, but that way you're at least covered in the event of major incident involving something like that. The $1,000, the thing is, I think most of us know nowadays, not going to go as far as we'd like it to. So, but it's at least something, because what happens if we don't have anything saved and we have a life event, and that could be, again, anything. It could be you missed 2 or 3 days of work because you were sick.
Sure.
And those loss of wages if you don't have sick pay. It could be a death in a family, not only just the financial loss, but the mourning, the emotional, the spiritual effects that it has on it. Finances is kind of the one, I don't want to say it's the best of all 7 stages of wellness, but it's the one that I feel like has all the ripples everywhere, because if you're struggling financially, it's likely, you're not going to be able to feed yourself, so your physical wellness might be affected. Emotionally might be attached because you're in a down place because you don't have enough to pay bills or whatever it might be that you're trying to do. So getting a savings built so you have at least some sort of security is important. If you don't have anything and you get into a car accident, or you do have a short paycheck this month, what's going to happen if you need bills to be paid? Likely, we're going to lean into our debt levers that we would pull. So credit card, maybe some loans, which aren't inherently bad, but if that's what we're using as a kind of a Band-Aid to cover either poor financial habits or just bad decisions, eventually we're going to get to a point where we've overextended ourselves and we can no longer pull that lever. And we're back to where we are right now, but now we have even higher risks and higher vulnerability, because if we're late on our house payment, are we running the risk of being unhoused or not having heat in our house, or gas in our car, food in our stomach? So that'd be like the next stage would be your savings goals, and just getting that kind of at the forefront for the member.
Affinity Plus is federally insured by the NCUA.